Hello everyone, today I'll be explaining problems 5 and 6 of round 128 for the grade 8 and under Prairie Math League problems. So going to share my screen and then get started. Okay. Let's just erase this and then start this again. Okay. For question 5, basically a child builds a tower using identically shaped cubes of different colors, and you want to find out how many different towers of a height of 8 cubes can the child build. And you realize that after looking at these cubes, there's actually 9 cubes, so 1 cube will be left out. Okay, so building a tower of a height of 8 cubes from a total of 9 cubes is essentially just building a tower with 9 cubes and then removing a cube. So that'll just be 9 factorial, right? But then you can also double check this by, let's say, 8 factorial if you're picking out like the different options for 8 cubes. And then you want to like 9 choose 8 of the cubes, right? You want to pick which 8 cubes are you going to use, which is just 9. So it's just 8 factorial times 9, right? Which is just 9 factorial. But then you realize that, well, these cubes are identical, right? So it's just 9 factorial over 2 factorial for the identical red cubes, 3 factorial for the blue cubes, and then 4 factorial for the green cubes. And then that equals to 1,260 if you like expand this and calculate this. So it's D. Okay, question 6. Travis has to babysit these triplets and he gives them a counting game where like the Tad has to say the number 1, Todd has to say the next 2 numbers, and then Tucker has to say the next 3 numbers, and then Tad has to say the next 4. And this process continues on and on until like the number 10,000 is reached. So we want to find what's the 2019 number said by Tad. Okay, let's just draw a table to visualize it. Like each round is considered to be 3 turns, 1 for each of the triplets. Round 1, Tad says 1, Todd says 2 to 3, Tucker says 4 to 6. Then we move on to round 2, where Tad says 7 to 10, Todd says 11 to 15, then Tucker says 16 to 21. And then we move on to round 3, where Tad says 22 to 28, Todd says 29 to 36, and Tucker says 37 to 45. All right, so, well, like if you look at this data, especially for Tad, which is the guy that we do care about, hold on, let me use a better, like Tad is the guy we care about. So let's look at his column in particular, right? You realize that for each round, the amount of numbers he says is like, let's call the rounds n. For the amount of numbers said per round is just 3n minus 2, right? Like in round 1, he says 1 number, right? 3 times 1 minus 2 is 1, which correlates with the round. In round 2, he says 4 numbers, right? 7, 8, 9, 10. So 3 times round 2 minus 2 is 4. And then you can test it round 3 and it'll work too. So now we have this information. And then you realize that the amount of numbers that Tad has so far at the end of this round will just be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus blah, 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 plus 3n minus 2. Because n is a number, like 3n minus 2 is the amount of numbers he says during that round, right? And then like if you know the arithmetic sequence and the sum of that, it's just 3n minus 2 plus 1 times n for the amount of rounds, because that is n times, right? Like there's n numbers in here because you want to add up to round n, and then you divide that by 2. So it's just 3n minus 1 times n over 2. And we want to find the value of this that is the closest to 2019, but it's probably not going to be 2019 exactly. So we find that like actually the closest we can get is 2035, because that'll be 37 times 110 over 2. Right. Okay, so Tad says his 2035th number at the end of his turn in round 37. And because Tad goes first every round, you'll see that when Tad has his 37th turn, Todd and Tucker only had 36 and 36 turns respectively. So how many turns is this, right? We will find that this is 36 plus 36 plus 37, which is equal to 109 turns in total. But in general, again, if we look at this data, you find that at the end of turn n, the number is said would just be n times n plus 1 over 2. So at the end of turn 109, which is like basically the end of Tad's turn in the end of turn 109, yeah, which is the end of Tad's turn in round 37, Tad basically says if we input this value in, it will be 109. Sorry, that is the wrong number. That is 109 times 110 over 2, which is equal to 5,995 if you actually calculate it right. So then this was the 2035th number said. So we're not at our answer yet. Right? So we want to find the 2019. And you realize that like 2035 is just 16 larger than 2019, right? It's just 2019 plus 16. Okay, then, so if it's 16 larger than 2019, then, well, 5,995 must be 16 larger than whatever the number correlating to this term is. So the actual answer is 5,995 minus 16, which is equal to 5,979. And then you realize that the answer here is C. Okay, thank you for watching. Bye.